I've been struggling with ADHD since years now. Until recently I didn't even know it was ADHD. And in these years I've been researching and playing around with various different chemicals. So this built up, rather than just research, also experience with those chemicals directly, and a real process of trial and error with various things. Today I want to share with you this tier list so that you can have a broader view of what actually can and what can't work or is not worth at all even maybe trying. So maybe some of these camps you already tried and some not. So that's nice, because the goal of this video also is to share some chemicals and nootropics, so not only meds, standard meds, that are not known to the community a lot, are not known by people who have ADHD themselves, and could be greatly helpful to them as it was for myself, because they're not marketed like pharma are. But they can work even better than pharma, or just in a different way, which has less side effect and is maybe better for some people who decide to not go to the pure pharma way. So let's start with it. We're gonna go to see some interesting ones, and I'm sure you'll get some cool insights out of it. So the first one is Modafinil, and this one is great. I personally like it a lot, and is one of the few that really works for chronic fatigue, because with ADHD, for some people, chronic fatigue follows for the constant need for stimulation and constant understimulation. I am one of those myself. I personally found to be fatigue one of the greatest symptoms of ADHD, and Modafinil is a perfect counter to that, to fatigue, because it is used in people who have narcolepsy, who fall asleep during the day, and it just gives you a pure feeling of wakefulness without going to mess up your dopamine and leave you destroyed afterwards. So just to really wake up, to be awake, and to start using a little bit of that prefrontal cortex, Modafinil works very well. Around 5 hours of fresh, alert, focus and attention. Even if it's not as powerful as something like amphetamine, it will definitely aid you to get a solid concentration and to wake up to your day. And the wakefulness that it will give you is much better than the one of coffee, because it will be without jitters at all. It's really clean, not uncomfortable, and smooth. So I definitely recommend this one, and for me it's surely up on the top. So I'd say A. Next one, Tyrosine. Tyrosine, this one is an amino acids natural supplement, which is a precursor to dopamine. So it will aid you to produce more dopamine, and you will feel it, not a lot like psychotropic substance like the others, but you will feel it still for a couple of hours. So like before a workout on an empty stomach or in the morning can really do the job. It's not a miracle, but it definitely gives you a little bit of that extra dopamine, which is definitely useful. So for this, it's not crazy, it's just a little aid. I'm going to put it on C. No, actually I'm gonna put it on B, because it has basically no crash, no down. So even if it will not work a lot, it deserves it. Next one is Intuniv, Guanfacine. This one is not very well known. I heard about Barclay speaking about it, and decided, also Huberman speaking about it, and I decided to try it, because I don't want to take stimulant all day, every day, because of the tolerance and side effects that comes with it in time, just on your body itself, and just to give a little bit of break from it for your body. But still, to wake up, be functional, etc., I need some base, so something that stays on every day. And Guanfacine was a great try for me, in conjunction with a stimulant, which is also usually how it's used, because it will give you a little bit of that base of more prefrontal cortex utilization, so a little bit less of impulsivity and a little bit more of the right signals coming into your mind and what it's not needed not coming into your mind. This is through the process of the alpha-2, which is a noradrenaline receptor that the guanfacine will work on. So by permitting just the relevant information to pass and the non-relevant information to not be passed. So this one I've tried for some weeks now. It's not a miracle, but still it seems to do a little bit of sustain. So for that I'll give him a B, just because it's probably not gonna be life-changing, especially if used on its own. And from what I've seen, not a lot of people respond to it. Next one, we have the instant release Adderal, which is a really classic one and which definitely works. I'm speaking specifically of the instant release, not extended, and I've tried this one just a couple of times and man, really worked well. Well, amphetamine works really well for ADHD, and was some solid morning of work because you're gonna get some hours out of it. But it's great because it has a little bit of that kick also of noradrenaline that other things such as Vyvanse doesn't have, because it's purely dopamine. So it will give you a little bit more of that push that helps to go through the initial starting point, which is common issue with executive dysfunction. So the starting itself of the task, with that is really useful. And then the dopamine will keep you going with it. So this is definitely an S for me. It just works perfectly, and if it's used correctly with intelligence, it's one of the best out there. I personally don't have it prescribed because here it's not prescribable, but if you're in the US, that's one of the first line of treatment for a good reason. So we came to coffee. Coffee is the favorite one of unmedicated people and my favorite one, or I mean, more than favorite, let's say that is the only way to go about it, in the sense that without coffee I would be in bed sleeping and not doing anything at all. But the problem with coffee is that it gives you too much noradrenaline, and those noradrenaline accumulates the more coffee you drink. You don't really get a lot of dopamine, which is what really, from what I've seen, makes the difference. So it's good to just carry on, but I don't consider it a solution at all. And it makes you so jittery, so anxious that in the end it's not worth it. So I'll put it on B, just because if it is the only thing you have access to, that can do the job, but is surely not an optimal one. Next one, we have something that not a lot of people speak out in this space, which is microdosing. And I put this here because microdosing, it's not specifically a symptoms blower of ADHD, but microdosing itself can definitely help, and has helped me with ADHD in other regards, in the sense that it's not gonna give you a crazy boost of dopamine for which you'll have your prefrontal cortex starting to plan and enact stuff and stay focused on work. It's a whole different thing. You will have a little bit of boost of dopamine, serotonin, and noradrenaline. So you'll be a little bit more wakeful, a little bit more calm. The serotonin will help with the constant need of needing to be doing something that will be a little bit suited, and you will be more creative. So it's useful even to think of new ways in which you can treat your ADHD, your life itself, and still you are able to do work on it which is more creative. And since ADHD really brings with itself, as a consequence of the symptoms, depression and anxiety, so it's really usually concurrent, microdosing is an exceptional way to treat depression. So just to have a little bit of a break and a more relaxing day and maybe go into nature, this is perfect. And for me, it definitely deserves the A spot. Not more because it's not usable daily and it really doesn't touch some stuff that amphetamine does, for example. So as we said, the whole prefrontal functions, but still it's way better than things like tyrosine or coffee. So next one we have Ritalin. Also this is a super classic. The basically second prescription after amphetamine, methylphenidate. And this one is cool for some hours of work. It still works. It's not as effective as amphetamine. You will not have that powerful, super powerful drive and focus to really get on with it, because you will have less dopamine release, but still it will touch noradrenaline and dopamine enough to give you the capability to use your prefrontal cortex more and to focus more and blunt a little bit that impulsivity, that restlessness, which is one of the worst things of ADHD in my opinion, because you're never resting. So for this, for me, deserves the A spot because it helps with symptoms and it's not too hard on your system like amphetamines. So if you're in a place where you can get amphetamines, this is definitely a good alternative, and for a lot of people it can work. Okay, so next one is Noopept. Noopept is a nootropic, but is one of the best nootropic ever, in my opinion. Plus one of the best ones for ADHD. It will increase a lot of your memory recall, which is something that is impaired with ADHD. It will give you focus without being like a stimulant. So it will make you more interested in what you already are interested, let's say, and you will be able also to control a little bit more your prefrontal cortex. Thing is that it doesn't last a lot, just a couple of hours, but the effects accumulates days after days, meant to be taken in the long term, and in the long term, the effects of the augmentation of the memory recall improves. Also, Noopept make you more neuroplastic, and increasing neuroplasticity is what can help you to reprogram your brain. It's your capability to shape your brain connections and form new ones, change them, make some of them more powerful, less powerful. Just the capability of your brain to change through time with new experiences and to learn. So with Noopept you will boost a lot your learning capability and a little bit of your motivation without it being too steamy and without having ups and downs. Also, you will see how much it boosts your cognitive capability. With that, I mean your thoughts will be clearer, simpler, more organized, and even with more depth. Will you be able to articulate more, because that's a lot connected with memory recall, and you will be more able to stay onto what you are doing. So for all these reasons, to me, it deserves a top spot too. Indeed, S tier 2. So next one we have is really interesting one. I discovered this one really recently because I was trying to look into something treat ADHD without taking a stimulant every day. And so I stumbled upon this nootropic because it boosts working memory. And what is working memory? Working memory is what gets boosted a lot with amphetamines, for example, and it's one of the most essential impairments, thing that is impaired in ADHD. It's what causes you to forget stuff around. Causes you to forget what you were doing right now as you were doing it. It's what's used in complex problem solving to keep multiple objects in your mind and manipulates them to then find a solution. And the lack of that is the reason itself for which you forget what you were saying the moment you were saying it. So let's say, for example, you are trying to explain something, and while you are trying to explain something, you see another idea and you go there and start talking about that other idea connected to the main one. Well, you forget the main one after a little bit, and you just don't come back to the main thing and go on from there. So it becomes all messy. That is because you don't have the working memory to remember the main idea you were in. And so you get lost in the other one. So you can clearly see how this disrupts focus. And PRL is a nootropic that has been shown to increase massively working memory, and it's not a stimulant, although it will boost a little bit dopamine and acetylcholine. So I decided to try it to treat that component of ADHD without a stimulant. And actually I can say that it definitely worked. It worked just for some hours, around 4 I've seen. It's not super intense, but still the effect on the working memory, that definitely worked. So I was very pleased to see that. That in conjunction with maybe a coffee or tyrosine, or for example if you took Modafinil in the morning, that is really great. So for me that's really a great one, great discovery, and it's an A spot. Next one, Stratterra. Stratterra, this personally I didn't like it at all. I tried it just for a little bit and it was completely destroying my appetite. Eating was disgusting. So I can't really say a lot of it from a personal point of view of experience, other than I really didn't like the kind of effect and found it to be really weak on the focus point of view. But maybe I didn't try it for enough time. Still, I see that a lot of people had the same experience as me, and that it is indeed an inferior type of chemical for the treatment of ADHD. But still, for some people that tried various stuff which for various reasons were not working for them, they found to be Stratterra the solution. So it still has a viability, but it's definitely not upon the best ones. And for me, I just put it on C because I just really didn't like it. Next one is Vyvanse, and let's get that straight. I'm gonna put it directly to S. S tier. Why? Well, this is what I currently use and stuck it with Guanfacine. I don't use it every day for the reason that I mentioned, but it deserves the top spot for me because it covers the whole thing. With that I mean it covers lack of energy, of chronic fatigue, of not being able to wake up in the morning, which is connected with depression and lack of dopamine. So it really treats that well by taking it, then waking up while it starts to rise, because it takes a couple of hours to come online. And I really love it because it's just pure dopamine, like dextroamphetamine. You will not have this noradrenaline kick that can accumulate into anxiety and agitation. And you will have that smooth release of dopamine for the whole day. Release mood come up and release mood come down with a solid 4-5 hours of focus and of prefrontal cortex working well and of actually being functional as a quote-unquote normal human being, in the sense that this is the only thing that really gives me enough functionality in my prefrontal cortex. So I mean that is not perfect, but it's definitely close to perfect. Every time I take it is the only time where really my mind stops moving for no reasons. I mean, I don't want to say stop completely. For sometimes maybe yeah, but what I want to say is that it's one of the few that I tried that really gave me relief from the constant restlessness and seeking of the ADHD brain. Even if I don't want stimulation, it will still seek stimulation, and that can cause addiction and all kind of things. But point is that this works really well, and I was really pleased to see how it helped me a lot with inhibition control, not only for my internal thoughts, which are constantly looking around outside in the environment to seek some dopamine, so it gave me relief from that. I didn't need to do that anymore, but also the whole emotional regulation that came with it. Depression basically gone, because it is so, I mean, in my case, really connected with the ADHD dysregulation symptom, which means your whole hyper reaction to emotions, and really it seems childish emotion in the brain, because the prefrontal cortex is not able to control the amygdala. But with Vyvanse it was definitely able to. And even if it's not a miracle, this is close to it. Also, this is one of the only one that I see that really gives me the whole, or almost the whole, capability of the prefrontal cortex for at least some hours. But still it goes out to the rest of the day. I mean, it gave me space in the mind, silence in the mind, which bring about more organized thought, more linear thoughts, and being enough with what I'm doing right now and in the day, rather than having to always seek something else because it doesn't feel enough what I'm doing right now. So it can really help with that desperation that comes in with not being able to plan and to execute upon your day normally, and to just have the normal motivation to live and to do what you enjoy doing. Because if you don't even enjoy doing your hobbies, I mean, if you don't even enjoy doing something that you are interested in, that you enjoy, also it doesn't destroy my appetite. I can still eat on it, which is great. And it just overall really works well. As I said, it's not perfect, but that used with intelligence can change your life for the better and can really give you the possibility to use your mind to live your life, to organize your life and to act upon it, and to not be a squirrel turning around all the time while seeking new stimulation. And to conclude, we have Wellbutrin XL, which is one of the first I actually tried before even knowing I had ADHD. I was just suspecting it, but I was depressed for years. And so I tried the Wellbutrin because I knew it had an effect on the dopamine levels and the noradrenaline. So it was just to wake up in the morning and just have a little bit more of motivation to be functional. It is used as an antidepressant, so in concurrence with ADHD, I mean for people who have both ADHD and depression, this is a great pick. It worked, helped me definitely to have more energy to wake up in the morning, more energy to do like chores, to start things also, to stay on it also a little bit, and also as a consequence helped a little bit also with the emotional dysregulation and depression. Then for me, after some months of usage, it basically stopped working, but I also decided myself to stop taking it because I started Vyvanse, because one of the main problems of it is that, well, it didn't treat enough the prefrontal cortex functioning, and it was really jittery. I had a constant sensation of my heart beating too hard and too fast, so really feeling the heart beating, and it's really common with it is from the accumulation of noradrenaline all the time in your system. So I don't think it's good to have all that noradrenaline all the time in your system, because it keeps also cortisol higher, and it was just not a good solution for me, the best pick. But it definitely had this place, and if you can't have access to stimulant, that is probably one of your best bets. So this one for me deserves the A place, just because it worked the whole day. As I said, did all the things that were necessary to enable me to be functional, much more than coffee or tyrosine could do, but nevertheless not at the level of amphetamines. Okay, so that's the list. I hope you enjoyed it. First time doing something like this, was really cool. And let me know if you agree, if you disagree in the comments, if you tried other stuff that maybe could be beneficial for people to know. And let me know also if you end up trying some of these ones that maybe could be better than how you are treating your ADHD right now. So hope you found value in this, and maybe you found some interesting chemicals that you didn't know about. And if you did, please share with your friends, with maybe other people that struggle with the same and can be helpful for them also. And other than that, stay strong, and I'll see you. All the life principles you will ever need in one place. This is why I created this holistic mind map. It is an ever-growing reservoir of concise, high-quality knowledge and resources that you can consult whenever you need to remember some practical principles, or just want to explore and discover deep wisdom and truths that you will not be able to find in the mainstream. So whether you are looking for solid business principles, success with women, or spiritual secrets, I'm sure that here you will find some cool pearls and guidance. It is available for free right now, link in the description.